I feel like if I hadn't gone to rock bottom financially, like I wouldn't have this degree of clarity. I've just gotten into so much more of a heart space that I'm like, wow, this is what is actually real. And to do anything else that feels outside of this, like love and devotion and purity and service to the world, just feels lacking. It's like your whole life you've been drinking Coke and Sprite and all of this like random drinks, when all you really want to drink is just water, just pure spring clean water. That's what it feels like operating from the heart. I've been meditating a lot more recently. It's given me a lot more perspective on what's important to me. I moved into my heart chakra. It's like rather than trying to think of what I want to do to survive, it's like, if I'm gonna die soon, what would I actually want to leave in this world? And I was talking about this idea of Dharma in my previous video. And I think it's something that you can find at any time of your life. Actually, I think it's something you ought to try to find sometime in your life. Some people will do it inadvertently, and some people would have a more active approach to it. I feel like I've been trying to use Dharma as a way to make money in order to survive, in order to pursue my other egoic pursuits. You know, rather than seeing Dharma from a perspective of like, how can I just devote myself to doing this thing because I genuinely believe it's something important I need to do. Because I do truly believe if you do your Dharma, you will be supported financially in every other way you need to be supported, and you will be. So that was almost like a strategy for me. It's like, okay, well, let's find out what my Dharma is, or let's try and feel it out, and then if I do it, then I'll make money. But then it's like you're using your Dharma to serve your ego, and that's not the point of Dharma. The Dharma is to serve God, it's the humanity, your heart. Dharma has to come from the heart. When you do it, you have to be in a heart space. Otherwise, even if what you perceive your Dharma is correct, like let's say your Dharma is to write a book, even if you are writing a book, but you're doing it from an egoic perspective, or you're not in the Dharmic state, you're not the person you should be or you need to be when you do the Dharma, then it doesn't matter if you're doing the correct action. It's not what you do, it's how you do. It won't bear any fruit, or it won't have anything meaningful, or it will feel like something is still off. And that's where I felt like I was coming from before. You know, when in my previous video, it was still very much a self-serving way that I was trying to contrive the Dharma to be in order to help myself, but it wasn't necessarily coming from my heart chakra. It wasn't coming from love. It was from ego. And I think that's where I went wrong. Like, to do your Dharma properly, you have to be the person that does the Dharma. Like, your internal state of being has to be aligned with that Dharmic purpose. Otherwise, you won't be able to actually do it properly. It will be like, it would be an artifice of what it is you're actually trying to do. Whoa, that's a blue butterfly. I still feel ashamed to admit this, even though I actually feel really good right now. Like right now compared to when I made the last video, which was, hi.
Good evening.
Hi.
Just offering a free Easter booklet.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
What are you doing?
I'm just filming a video.
I hope I didn't interrupt you today.
No, this is great. Yeah, it's never an interruption. Thank you, you too.
It's good to meet you. It's a Christian booklet, obviously.
Sorry?
It's a Christian booklet.
Yes, that's okay, thank you. It's a Christian booklet. Oh, can you see it? I'm not Christian, by the way. Like, I say God, but I don't mean it in the Christian sense, but just in the sense of the everything, the universe, consciousness, the supreme. But I do love people that love God, because I think that's really what feels the best. that devotion. That old man was so nice as well. Anyway, so I went on government support recently, and it's been awesome. It's been so cool. Like, it's been feeling so good, actually, and feels so aligned. I feel like if I hadn't gone to rock bottom financially, like, I wouldn't have this degree of clarity. Like, I feel like until you get to the ground, you literally don't touch earth. You don't touch the ground where you really, like, get a foundation of who you are. Like, if you always have, like, things supporting you, or there's like always this backup, then you never truly feel what it is to be real, to be like touching the earth with your bare foot on the ground. And I've never been this low before, like financially. Like not to this extent where I'm like, holy fuck, I actually gotta ask my dad for money. I gotta ask for the government for money. But having said that, they're really kind. Like, in New Zealand, there's a thing called Job Seeker, where if you're looking for a job, they will help you with some money in the meantime while you're looking for a job. And also, if you're paying rent, they'll also give you some money for rent. So in total right now, I'm getting $502 per week from the government, New Zealand dollars. And I only really need about $500 a week to survive. So it coincidentally worked out perfectly. I also make some money from selling t-shirts online. And that's like maybe $200 or $300 New Zealand per month. So in total, combined, that's completely enough for me to survive. But to be in the program, you have to be constantly looking for jobs. And if they submit you for a job, you have to go for the interview and do it. So I have been doing that. And in actuality, I've been much more open to the idea of having a job again. Because before I was saying how I felt so weird and so different that I feel like if I do any sort of like normal job, it would just feel really off and it wouldn't actually do anybody any good. But since then, I've been looking at jobs and I did find some. I'm like, actually, I think there is a possibility I could belong here and do something meaningful, you know, and not just I'm there for money and I don't really care about the job and I don't really fit in and I'm just pretending to like what I'm doing so that I can make money, you know, and essentially sacrificing my integrity to make money, which I feel like none of us actually need to do on this earth. We don't actually need to do it. We just feel like we do. So I applied for a few jobs, and there was one job in particular which involves like teaching music to children, which I felt really good about, because I think if there's any job that's meaningful in the world, it's working with kids and helping them develop. And I used to coach gymnastics to kids, and that was like one of the best jobs I've ever had. You know, I just sort of got sick of teaching gymnastics. Like, you know, you can only teach a sport role so many times before it gets boring. So I quit the job eventually to do other things, to do more like ego, I think, driven things in terms of like acting and social media and stuff. But in terms of a job where I felt like I contributed the most love and like potentiality into the earth, it was when I was working with kids. So this job, I'm like, well, it's like a part-time job working with kids. Instead of teaching gymnastics, it's like music and acting and stuff like that. Which I'm like, yeah, that could be really fun, and I love music too, so that could be good. So the job and income, which is the job and income, like government people, they also like they pair you up with a job broker who like submits you for jobs. So yeah, they paired me with this guy called Peter Mumby, who's like, I mean, actually, all the people at Work and Income are such nice people. Like, honestly, they're so, I actually, except for the first person I talked to, like, everyone there was so kind. Like, when they work with you, they're just so gentle. And they're really, like, it really feels like they're coming from a place of the heart. And maybe it's because of those people and the meditation and me spending more time in nature. I've just gotten into so much more of a heart space that I'm like, wow, this is what is actually real. And to do anything else that feels outside of this like love and devotion and purity and service to the world just feels lacking. Like, it just doesn't feel as good. It's not as deep, you know? It's like your whole life you've been drinking Coke and Sprite and all of this like random drinks when all you really want to drink is just water, just pure spring clean water. That's what it feels like operating from the heart. And I don't want to like operate from my ego again, or if I do, it's like I want to bring the power of the ego into the heart, because honestly, that's how I want to live from now on. But anyways, Peter set me up with a interview for, he applied for me for a marketing coordinator role, like a social media coordinator role. And I went for an interview, and actually it felt really good. The person was really awesome. Like, she was also really cool. I feel like ever since I've been on this like government support path, I've just been connected with my heart. Like, I found this really great meditation group. I've been way more in touch with nature. I'm just so thankful. I'm so grateful. I'm so appreciative of New Zealand and the New Zealand government that, like, when you're at the lowest, that they can support you with so much love and support. Like, say what you will about New Zealand and all its things that maybe it doesn't do very good, but when it really comes down to it, it really supports the people so well, so damn well, that I don't think people realize it. And it's like, it's not until you get to this like such a low place in your life and you go for the support, you're like, wow, the world really isn't that bad. Like, New Zealand really isn't that bad. It's so loving and so supportive. Like, you wouldn't believe how supportive it is, you know? Like, if you're in uni and you need money to survive, they give you student allowance, which is basically free money on your student loan. I mean, first of all, the cost of education isn't that high in the first place, but if you need a student loan, they'll give it to you, and there's no interest if you just stay in the country. Like, it's such a beautiful place, actually. It's such a wonderful place. But anyways, the interview was good. She was really cool. Like, she was really fun. And like, I did kind of feel like she didn't really understand everything I was saying, but she was just so nice about it, like really supportive, like, yeah, I feel you, yeah, that's it, it's about that, it's about authenticity. I'm like, yeah, okay, I feel like I can just drop a bunch of buzzwords for you and you'll just agree with me and really like me. And I really like that. I really enjoyed her energy. And actually it was so nice, like, before I even met with the interviewer, because I was meant to meet the interviewer person in Starbucks, but she was late. So I ended up talking to this like random Peruvian lady sitting next to me, who needed like a charger, and then the Starbucks people gave her a charger, and then we talked about the charger, and then I was like, where are you from? And she was like, I'm from Peru. I'm like, oh, cool, you know, I speak a bit of Spanish. And then we basically just had a conversation in Spanish. Like, I listened most of the time because my speaking skills aren't that good, but I could pick out mostly what she was saying, and I could still sort of contribute to the conversation. Then she was helping me learn Spanish, and we had this like lovely conversation until eventually the interviewer person got back to me, and she was like, I'm gonna be late, and then my colleague will interview you instead, because I actually can't make it. So then her colleague interviewed me instead, and she was really cool. But then, like, I kind of feel like I'm not gonna be able to do this job, because one, it's full-time, which I feel like it might be too much for me. Like, I'm afraid I'm not actually gonna be able to maintain my sense of self if I spend 40 hours a week dedicating my life to a job that I don't necessarily believe wholeheartedly in, you know? Like, if it was something that I feel like is like is part of my dharma, then I feel like I can dedicate 80 hours into it and it wouldn't be a problem. But I feel like this is not so aligned with me compared to what I'm doing in my spare time right now, which is writing a book, which I feel like is my dharma right now. Like, out of all the things I could do right now in this world that I feel like would make a meaningful impact to society, writing this book I'm currently writing, which is to do with philosophy and spirituality, I feel like this one thing would be the most important thing I can contribute to. Like, if I'm gonna die soon, like, I would want to finish this book and give it out before I die. So if I'm gonna spend 40 hours at a marketing job that I feel like is not necessarily gonna be what I really feel is true to me, then I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it. I do enjoy the prospect of trying a full-time job for the first time in my life, and the boss does sound cool. It's essentially a social media agency job where, like, you know, they have clients and you gotta, I think, you know, do marketing and make content and stuff for them. You know, which is something I'm naturally good at, I suppose. But, like, you know, like, do I really want to make social media content for, like, a fried chicken company? Even if they make really good fried chicken, it's like, this is so beneath me. This is such a game, it's such a joke compared to what I actually want to do with my life, that I feel like spending that much time on it is a disservice to the world, actually. It's a betrayal to myself, it's a disservice to myself, and ultimately a disservice to you. So I feel like maybe I shouldn't do that. But You know, but if we can work out like some sort of part-time thing, it might be interesting. Like, I would like to experience it. I think it would be a fun experience. So I'm not completely against to it. And I am totally for finding a job that really aligns with me, like a part-time job right now, that aligns with me, that I feel like that is in service to God, that is in service to heart, intuition, dharma. That can also support me financially while I work on writing my book. Then I'm 100% open for it. But if I feel like I'm sacrificing too much of myself for the job, where it actually goes against my dharma, or slows it down, or makes it less effective, or, you know, completely ineffective, then I feel like for the sake of humanity, it's not worth it. And nobody should do a job like that. Like, your priority should always be your dharma. Like, what is the truest form of your service, your art into the world, right? Like, if it is like honestly making fried chicken, then like you have to do that. Like, don't do something else if what you should be doing is fried chicken. But what you should be doing is writing a book. Or that's what it genuinely feels like to you. You know, like if you're going to die and you have to do something in the world before you leave, something to leave behind in service to the world, and you feel like, you know, and maybe the book is not the ultimate magnum opus of your life, but it's like, if right now that's the highest you can conceive of, that you can feel, that actually feels right to you, not just the mental conceptualization of like, oh, this is what I should do because, you know, out of, you know, A, B, and C, this is what you know, I logically deduce as the best thing. No, it's like what you genuinely feel like you need to give to the world. Do that thing. And always make that your apex, your number one priority, and then everything else around you supports that. And if your secondary support duties actually take away from it, then the support duties need to go. You know, like you have that as your beacon, and then everything else is the pyramid underneath to support that. I think that's ideally how we should operate. And then there are many ways to get there in terms of finding out what that thing is and ways to support yourself. I know that I'm on government support, and maybe to a lot of people it sounds like, oh, you're a failure. Like, what are you doing with your life? But I've never felt so much more supported, like financially confident, financially secure, and secure in general in my life until this point. You know, like at one point I had like $10,000 on my bank account, and that's like so much money for like so much months of rent and survive, right? But like even then I felt more unclear and more unsure of myself than right now, when I have nothing on government support and all I'm doing right now is like meditation, going to nature, writing my book, and then like playing some video games to like unwind in my spare time, which I think I need to stop doing right now. My life is so simple, so basic, to the fucking ground that I feel like it's never been more pure and strong and steady and substantial in my life.